I'll tell you, terrible scholar.
I didn't do it. My district superintendent, because it's getting bad in Red Hook. Getting bad. We don't have any.
Vice President for Community Programs and Development, and I am the moderator this evening for the New York City Housing Authority's Fiscal Year 2017 Annual Plan Public Hearing. We have sign language interpreters for the hearing impaired, and Spanish, Russian, and Chinese translators for those who need it. Will the interpreters please come to the microphone and introduce yourselves?
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ana Ortiz y yo soy intérprete de español y quiero decirle que tenemos el equipo para escuchar esta presentación en español. Pueden visitar nuestra mesa que está en la parte de atrás del salón. Gracias.
Добрый вечер. Если вам нужен перевод этой презентации на русский язык, обратитесь, пожалуйста, к столу переводчиков, получите специальное оборудование для синхронного перевода. Стол находится у входа в зал. Спасибо.
大家好，欢迎大家今天来出席我们的会议。今天我们会为大家提供國語嘅同聲翻譯。如果有需要嘅話，請到入口處領取這個耳機。我哋今晚同樣地都會為大家提供廣東話嘅同聲翻譯嘅。如果有需要嘅話，去呢個入口處嗰度領取呢個耳機就得㗎啦。多謝。
Thank you. Thank you all for taking time to attend. Everyone is busy and you've made this a priority. We appreciate that so many of you are here tonight expressing an interest in NYCHA. Why are we here? In accordance with Section 5A of the United States Housing Act of 1937 as amended, housing authorities are required to develop, with review and input from residents and the general public, an annual plan that outlines its priorities for the upcoming year. The draft fiscal year 2017 plan was released for public review on June 17, 2016, and NYCHA encouraged our residents and advocates to provide written comments on the plan. These comments were taken via fax and through the mail and will also be collected this evening. The executive summary of the annual plan was made available in 4 languages: English, Spanish, Chinese, and Russian, for public inspection at NYCHA's principal office at 250 Broadway, on NYCHA's website, at each local property management office, at all community operations, management, and leased housing borough offices, and at 5 designated community centers. The draft plan was also sent to all Resident Advisory Board, or RAB, delegates and alternates, and to each Resident Association president. The purpose of this public hearing is to obtain the views, comments, and recommendations of the public on the fiscal year 2017 annual plan. The draft plan is not final and will be modified before it is submitted to HUD. Please understand, however, that this evening is not intended as a forum for a verbal exchange. New York City Housing Authority representatives will not engage in discussions with the speakers, nor will they respond to questions. They are present to hear what you have to say about the annual plan. This public hearing is being live streamed over the internet and will be available to view on NYCHA's website. Joining us tonight, we have members of the New York City Housing Authority Board. Chair and Chief Executive Officer, Shola Olatoye. Beatrice Bird, member. Derek Cephas, member. Willie Mae Lewis, member. General Manager Michael Kelly, and Inspector Elvio Capocci, of the Housing Bureau of the New York Police Department. Before we begin, you can clap. Before we begin, I would like to introduce again NYCHA's Chair and CEO, Shola Olatoye, who will share with us a brief update of the Next Generation NYCHA initiatives.
Thank you, Ms. Gilliard. Good evening. It's wonderful to be here with all of you. I want to thank again my fellow board members that are here, our colleagues at NYPD, Inspector Capocci. We were joking, we were together just last night at Ingersoll Houses. I see the Ingersoll resident leader here as well. And my partner in all things NYCHA, my general manager, Michael Kelly. So thank you again for the time and commitment that each of you bring to helping us realize our vision of a safe, clean, and connected NYCHA. I also have to thank the staff who put together these events. I know it's not terribly crowded here this evening, but a lot of information goes out to make sure that residents know that this is an opportunity for them to come and share information. So the entire NYCHA staff that's here, principally the men and women in our PHA group, Miss Anne Marie, I remembered it, Anne Marie Flattery, and her entire team, security, communications, resident engagement, all of our colleagues. I want to thank each of them for their work today. So I'd like to use this opportunity as a good kind of midpoint check to update you. You know, we have a lot of forms of information that we have revamped to try and make sure people understand all of the change that's happening at the Housing Authority. And let me be clear, there is a lot of change happening at the Housing Authority. I described it to someone as gears, when gears are moving, and sometimes it's an unpleasant sound, but there is a lot of change, but there is forward motion. And what we'd like to do this evening is try and give just a high-level update on some of those changes. Want to encourage people to make sure they sign up for if you have access to the computer, electronic copies of the NYCHA Journal. Sign up for the My NYCHA app if you have an Android or Apple phone. It is a free app that can be downloaded that will allow you to schedule your repairs at your convenience, track them, etc. Visit our website. We now have development websites that are specific to each of our 328 developments, information about capital projects, vacancies, etc. So please, and give us feedback if there are other ways in which we should be better communicating with you. This is an iterative process, and we are always needing to improve. So please also give us that feedback. I want to raise the men and women of NYCHA who are here to take specific apartment concerns, I think, are typically in the back. Can you raise your hand, I think, maybe? Folks who are here, or we'll have staff come to you if there are specific issues in your home that we need to address right away. So just jumping right into our brief update this evening, I don't think I need to tell this group how integral, how important how central NYCHA is to New York City. 1 in 14 New Yorkers call on NYCHA for some form of home, whether that's in our public housing program or within our Section 8 program. Our colleague at NYCHA, Rasmia Kermani-Fry, who manages a lot of our public-private partnerships, likes to say, imagine New York City without a NYCHA. Did you know that the top 3 employers of NYCHA residents include NYCHA herself, the NYPD, and the Department of Education? So imagine the folks who are taking care of our trains and subways and buses, the men and women who work in our schools, the men and women who support the great NYPD. Imagine those people not being there. So the importance in the integral function that the Housing Authority plays to making New York the city that we know and love has to be preserved, and that's what we're doing as part of Next Gen NYCHA. We have significant financial challenges. This is something that many of you know quite well. We continue to work towards addressing these issues, but it's important to note that these financial realities, we didn't get here overnight, and we're not going to change it overnight. But we've made some very significant improvements to address this and address the basic quality of service that we are delivering to you. Our vision is that the safe, clean, and connected NYCHA is something that is more than just words on a screen, but a reality for people who live across our 328 developments. Our plan is very simple, 4 simple goals. The first is we have to stabilize our organization so that we can provide better service to you. We have to develop a long-term, diverse source of funding so that we can recognize the fact that the federal government has continued to disinvest from public housing. We need to find other sources of revenue. We have to be a better landlord. That is our core business, the provision of a safe and decent and clean home to the more than 400,000 residents who call upon us as home. We have to rebuild and preserve our portfolio while adding to the affordable housing stock in the city. And we have to connect with our residents in a new and different way. There are many strategies that back up those 4 goals that we can happy to talk more about as throughout our engagement with you. But these are the 15 strategies that are really driving a lot of the change to becoming a better landlord, improving our finances, rebuilding and preserving our portfolio, and engaging with you and with our residents in a new and different way. A couple of updates in terms of some of the initiatives that are happening. One is we have brought on leased new formerly dark commercial spaces. These are ground floor retail spaces in many communities that have been dark for many years. We've brought them back online as a new, not only as a new additional source of revenue, but also as providing additional services to the community. This is an example of a new ophthalmologist office that's been leased in a space that I think was vacant for many years, I think at the Williamsburg houses. Williamsburg houses that now has services that are available to our residents in the greater community. This is just one example of the kind of uses that we are seeking to bring to our developments. In Upper Manhattan, we'll be partnering with the New York Public Library to open what would be the first new public library in Manhattan in more than 20 years. We are working to improve those basic, the everyday quality of life issues, things like reducing the amount of time that it takes for basic maintenance repairs. Skilled trades, we still have a lot of work to do, but basic maintenance repairs. Last year it was 21 days, too long. Now it's less than 6.2 days across the portfolio. We are trying to become a better customer service, provide better customer service by putting more information online for those who can access it. We now have the option, encouraging all of our Section 8 residents to recertify online. Gone are the days where you need to bring hundreds of pieces of paper to your management office or to a walk-in center. You can now now do that online from the comfort of your home or one of our now 3 new digital vans that make routes throughout our developments. By the end of the year, all of our maintenance men and women, as well as our trades, will have handheld devices that will help them manage the workflow. So gone will be the days of showing up with thousands of pieces of paper that with the work ticket and then getting lost in between transport from the apartment to the office, really streamlining that process and helping us be more efficient to ultimately do more work and improve what's happening in people's homes. These are just high-level examples of the kinds of operational changes that we're making to improve the quality of life. We also recognize that the business of managing the homes of 400,000 people does not end at 4 p.m. And so in 12 of our developments, in partnership with our colleagues at 237, we've launched Local 237, we've launched a demonstration project to offer staggered shifts where the men and women of the Housing Authority begin their day at 6 a.m. and end at 8 p.m. There are 3 staggered shifts, so when people leave for work, trash has been picked up, floors have been cleaned. You no longer have to take time off from work for that maintenance appointment because you can schedule something later in the evening. You need to visit your management office 1 day a week at these 12 developments. The management office is open until 8 p.m. Simple, basic customer service that's coming to the Housing Authority. No reason why this needs to be the exception, and we are working to make this successful and hopefully something that we can expand to more developments as we go forward. But this is an effort that we are working very hard on, and I want to thank everyone for helping us move this forward. Just this morning, myself and the general manager were out at Coney Island breaking ground on our a permanent construction happening there, more than $3 billion of funding to go to those developments that were damaged by Hurricane Sandy. In addition to that work, the mayor has invested more than $300 million over the next 3 years to help replace roofs throughout the city. We've already replaced, I believe that number should be 20 out of 27 roofs, and we're working to add more and more to that list. Again, another example of us partnering with NYPD to make our communities cleaner and safer. We've just completed, actually, I believe tomorrow will be the 4th development where new lighting, cameras, layered access are coming to our developments. We just were at Bushwick Houses as well as Boulevard Houses, Polo Grounds, and tomorrow Stapleton. And there are an additional 11 developments that will get new lighting and those security enhancements with the hope and expectation that this, again, is no longer the exception but the rule and something that we can see throughout all of our developments. Lots of work in our development program, both to preserve existing NYCHA units, as well as adding new 100% affordable units, as well as adding new affordable and market rate units to help generate much needed revenue to support capital repairs. Partnering with a number of agencies to provide the important social services that we know are so needed in many communities. We are more than just buildings, we are communities, we are families, and so we have really worked to reorient our community programs and development work to partner with nonprofits, faith-based organizations, and more to help connect to the key demographics within NYCHA, our seniors, our young people, our working parents, and the little people. So here's an example of connecting people to work. For those of you who live in Brooklyn, this is a graduate of our Food Pathways program who is now the owner and proprietor of a very successful Jamaican grilled chicken center, which I still haven't gotten to, but I'm planning to get there soon. So another example of us recognizing the need to connect people to real work, real opportunity, and that program is expected to be scaled. Again, another example of connecting people to important financial education and planning resources. We have helped to train more than 200 residents on home buyer education resources for those residents that are interested in that, as well as connecting residents to HRA assistance and other family self-sufficiency programs. In engaging with our communities and with residents in new and different ways, we've really sought to engage members of the faith community. This is something that is new for us, really taking a very diligent look at the faith communities where many of people worship, and bringing the leaders of those houses of worship to talk about how they can help us improve what's happening at NYCHA and in their communities. This is something that we'll be doing more and more of. I know typically there are lots of members of the Church of the Open Door and others that, all right, there you go, who show, and so I think it's a really important segment of the community that have a voice and helping us preserve public housing for today and for the next generation. So just an example of the kinds of ways in which we seek to engage with New Yorkers in a new and different way. Our vision is very simple. It's something that everyone wants for their family, what I want for my family, and this is the work that we are engaged in. And I thank you for your attention and look forward to the comments this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. So let's get started. We hope that as many people as possible will have an opportunity to express their comments. So before we begin the actual hearing, let's go over the following ground rules to make this evening go smoothly for all of us. If you wish to speak, you must first fill out a speaker slip. They are available at the entrance at a table marked Speaker Sign In. Please line up at the microphones in the aisles and wait for your turn to speak. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes. On the stage to my left is a timer, and it has 3 lights. When you begin to speak, the green light will be on and the timer will begin to count down. When the yellow light is lit, it means that you should start to conclude your comments. When the red light is turned on, your 3 minutes to provide comments are over. A table has been set up outside so that written comments may be submitted. Numbered speaker slips are non-transferable, and if you are not present or do not wish to speak when your name or number is called, you will forfeit the opportunity to do so. The hearing is being recorded and transcribed by a stenographer, so please, speak only from the microphones in the aisles and identify yourself and your development or affiliation. Remember, we are here to comment on the annual plan. Any personal comments on, criticisms of, or oral attacks on NYCHA personnel, resident representatives, and public attendees, or any demeaning, discriminatory, or ethnic slurs or vulgar language will not be tolerated. I, as the moderator of this evening's meeting, reserve the right to immediately move on to the next speaker online if any comments are deemed inappropriate. The moderator on stage is in charge of the public hearing, so please be considerate of your neighbors and follow the directions. As the chair mentioned earlier, we are here to consider issues that are of concern to everyone, not issues that concern only a single resident or individual. However, if you have those concerns and they refer to only you or your apartment, we have tables set up outside specifically for that purpose. Please fill out a resident response form at the table outside marked Resident Complaints. The passing out of materials is not allowed in the auditorium. However, a general information station is available outside where leaflets and flyers may be displayed. You may have also noticed that resource tables have been set up outside with information, so at the end of the meeting you can pick up any information that they have that may be of interest to you. We encourage you to learn more about NYCHA's Resident Engagement Department and their work to engage residents around key initiatives and campaigns. NYCHA's Fair Housing, Equal Opportunity, and that department. And also ID NYC, which is a New York City municipal identification program. All New York City residents 14 years and older who reside in New York City's 5 boroughs are eligible for the ID, regardless of immigration status. It comes with many benefits, including free membership to cultural institutions, discounts on food and prescription drugs, and much more. So if you have not already done so, we encourage you to visit their table to learn more about ID NYC and to sign up for an appointment. Lastly, also available for review purposes only are copies of the executive summary of the annual plan, and they are available in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Russian. Let us begin. Can Joanne Brown come to one of the microphones, followed by Tanya Rivera? Ms. Brown? Ms. Rivera?
She's right here.
Next, we will have Ms. Debbie Isaac. So, Ms. Rivera, please.
Okay, the reason I come in, I'm trying to advocate for my mom. My mom is an elderly person. She lives in a development in Bronx. It is a dangerous area that she lives. And right now, I'm more concerned because I'm in Manhattan, far away from her. And they are still in the waiting list for the transfer. And I can't believe it. In my development, I see so many empty apartments for a disabled person, and it's still not through going to her transfer. And I'm concerned because everything's getting worse in her development. And I'm really scared to go to her house. And I want to know what can be able to do to change it, to be able to do something for my mother. And I'm really concerned by the situation. They don't taking care properly for the elevator, and she has to walk with a walker and 2 replacement. That needs replacement she has just recently.
So thank you. Can someone please from the operations department speak with her? Someone will be right with you. Thank you for your comment. Ms. Debbie Isaac?
Oh, excuse me, but it took
Ms.
me
Brown
a
is
minute.
there? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Ms. Brown.
Yeah, it took me a minute, but I'm here now.
Take your time, Ms. Brown.
Okay. Well, no, I'd like to say thank you all for coming, all y'all, and Solar, all that, thank you all, but I have a lot of comments going on. My name is Joanne Brown, and I'm also the Vice President of 572-574 Warren Street Houses, and I sit on the Community Board 6 in the CAG, but I'm here to complain about, I have a neighbor, Mrs. Moselle Tarrant, and she's 96 years old. She's one of the oldest in our development, along with Mr. Jesus. She's 102. But Miss Moselle, the lady upstairs over her, is have the water running down on her in her kitchen. It's a real small kitchen, but the water is going into her stove, and that was my concern, rather with the water going into her stove. But then sometimes her daughter's there, but then my whole thing is that someone need to go check it. They came out to check the ceiling, but then they didn't do anything about it. And also in my own apartment, I have mold that's in my bathroom that's been there a whole year, and they noticed ever since September the 28th of last year, of September 28th of last year, when the water broke in there, and they don't close all 4 tickets, and now I got a brand new ticket, which they knew that I needed a carpenter in my bathroom, so that to remove all of the paneling that's in my bathroom. but at the same time, we have a lot of flooding up on the 6th floor, that's in other people's apartments and everything. So I'm here, and I know about, and I heard what you said about the tickets, but then they are also closing the tickets. How can you close the tickets if they still have no one? They only came out just to look at the bathroom to see what's wrong with it, to look at the ceiling to see what's wrong with it, but then they closes all of the tickets without notifying the people that you are closing it. And I don't think that's fair, because it's not just only my apartment, it's other people's apartment as well. I know a lot of them that they couldn't come out, but Ms. Ozell, she couldn't come out because she's hooked onto the breathing machine. So I asked, was it okay for me to speak for her tonight, and I'm doing just that. So I'm coming to you asking, could y'all please look into helping myself, because like I said, I've been in the hospital a couple of times already because of the mold, because I buy the bleach, the ammonia. I mean, I do a lot trying to keep the mold down in my bathroom. All I'm asking is for them to come out and then fix it, because when I go back to work in September, I work in a school. There's no way I can take off to come, rather stay home, rather when I'm just going back to work. I can't do that. But I'm at home from July and August. Something needs to be done. All I'm asking you is just to help us, okay?
Thank you,
and I
Ms. Brown.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Someone will see you and speak with you directly. Ms. Debbie Isaac, followed by Marshall Vanderpool.
Yes, my name is Debbie Isaac, and I live in Ravenwood Housing. And I lived in housing since 1970, so that's been quite a few years. I don't understand how housing can fix up the outside structure and can't do the inside structure. All of that's beautiful and all of that's well and good, but we live inside. We pay rent inside. We should be able to have the things that's necessary that we need. Now, like I said, I lived in housing for quite a few years. I've never seen housing that don't have caps to put on your pipelines. The towers are unbelievable, and when they paint, the paint is so unbearable you can't even stay in your own house. That's how bad the paint smells. And then I've been trying to move for the longest. I even wrote my council members and told her, and they haven't done anything. You're gonna tell me I have to wait 4 to 6 years, and I'm downloading an apartment, not upgrading. I'm giving them for a 2-bedroom for a 1-bedroom apartment, and they telling me I gotta wait 4 to 6 years to move. I don't think that's fair to me. I raised 2 boys. One's in the Army, and one's a construction worker, and I'm a single mom, and I did it all by myself, and I just retired. And I shouldn't have to live in an apartment that doesn't make, it's not suitable for me. The water bugs is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it's a hazard to me. But I try not to complain to housing about it, because I don't want them to think that I'm a troublemaker. But when they take my rent, they don't say anything to me, but they want their rent. And the minute you don't pay them their rent, they want to take you to court, which thank God I've never been there, because I do pay my rent. But it's the principle, how we live as human beings. We shouldn't live like that. Don't fix the outside, fix the inside. We'll feel much better. Didn't the young kids supposed to be able to have a summer job? They don't even have a summer job. That would even make it easier for them to work and clean up. And then they'd be able to, housing people would be able to do the structured work inside. If you give the kid a chance, they don't even give our young children a chance no more to get summer jobs. And that should be able to help us, which would help housing to clean up the apartment better and clean up the hallways better for us. We pay rent. And if some of y'all would like to live where we live, it'd be better for us. You can see how we live. Take my apartment and I'll take yours.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac.
You're welcome.
Marshall Vanderpool, followed by Robert L. Swan.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Marshall Vanderpool, the first Vice President of Dyckman Resident Houses, the Resident Association. I'm here representing Mr. Green, our President, my Executive Board, and our Advisory Committee. I'd like to return to the 5-year plan and say a few words about Flexible Operations Program that's being currently piloted at our development. Known as FlexOps, it's a next-generation NYCHA initiative that enables the authority to be a better landlord for its residents. By giving development staff staggered shifts, it means that caretakers are at work earlier, starting from 6 a.m. to make sure everything is clean and looking good when our residents head out for school and work. It means that our residents at some developments can schedule apartment repairs up until 7:30 so that they don't have to take off from work to be home for daytime appointments. Residents can also make evening appointments once a week to meet with property management staff. I'm optimistic about FlexOps. I believe it is a step in the right direction towards better accommodating residents and ensuring our homes are clean and well maintained. I think that we can work and can help our residents and believe we should give it a chance. And the association at Dyckman Houses will be working with our management team to effect a successful program. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderpool. Robert L. Swan, followed by Helen Dixon. Mr. Swan?
Right here.
How are you?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Swan. I'm from Cypress Hill Housing in Brooklyn. I'm a disabled vet. Now, I've been in my development since 2001 to now. There's a lot, you know what? My apartment never been painted since I've been there. And the crimes in the area is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right? They said they're gonna put cameras up. They got few cameras up. And then turn around, the elevator breaks down every now and then. Water, the heat, hot water, like yesterday, I had to take a shower in cold water. But I'm used to it because I've been in the service, they teach you to deal with improvise. I improvise, but that's not the point. I pay my rent to have hot water 24/7. Not when it breaks down and late at night or early in the morning, I had to get up early in the morning and take a shower in cold water. Come on, it's ridiculous. And then turn around and there's a little park for the kids. They fenced that up. They've been fenced up since 6 years. 6 years for little kids. Even going out towards the street, there's a conflict between housing and DOT. Fix the sidewalk. One says it's not my problem. Others say it is your problem. But the sidewalks get messed up every year. Now I'm gonna tell you like it is. I roll down there. If I get hurt, my children get damaged, I am suing because this should be done. People get hurt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swan. Helen Dixon, followed by Michelle Villa Gomez.
Hi, my name is Helen Dixon. I live in the Albany Houses. I think it's a great plan to improve NYCHA, to have it operate more efficiently and effectively. However, I have a question. How will management and/or the caretakers of the development be held accountable to ensure that the development will be maintained, cleaned on a daily basis as part of the next generation plan? It's nice to have a plan in place, but then who's going to be the one to make sure that the people who need to do what they need to do to keep it, to maintain it, is doing their job? Because right now, I have to honestly tell you, in Albany houses, right now, it is not being maintained. It is not being cleaned. I have followed the protocol. I put in tickets. I called the management. I have even emailed the chairman more than once, inviting her to come and see for herself. Don't take my word for it. Come and see for yourself what the place looks like. So back to my question again, how will management and the caretakers be held accountable to ensure the development will be maintained? They need to be monitored to make sure they're doing their job. I recently retired, and I have observed a lot of the caretakers, they spend most of the time talking, most of the time sitting. When there's work to be done, they're not doing it. And I always go to management and I say, well, who's coming around to inspect, to make sure that they did their job? Shouldn't have to be that way, but it seems like that's maybe what needs to be done. But there needs to be some kind of accountability. And just as we are accountable for paying our rent on time, they need to be accountable for doing their job, the job that they're getting paid to do.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. Michelle Villagomez, followed by Carlos Padon.
Hi, my name is Michelle Villagomez. I'm here representing the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the ASPCA. We work with NYCHA developments around the city, and we hear a lot of concerns from residents. It was great to hear that NYCHA shares the concerns about quality of life issues and keeping families together, and I add to that a concern that we have. We feel that your pet policy is overly restrictive and disregards the benefits of pet ownership to NYCHA residents. The ASPCA as an organization is committed to increasing adoptions, spay-neuter transfers, and reducing the number of animals entering shelters and the animals that get euthanized at those shelters. We oppose laws and regulations that limit the ability of individuals to keep their pets and believe that the companionship of animals is particularly important to the elderly, disabled, and low-income individuals served by NYCHA. As I mentioned earlier, we commit a lot of resources to work in New York City, and we're at NYCHA developments every day. We provide low-cost spay-neuter. We offer residents help getting medical care, getting grooming, with hoarding situations. So we really are on the ground seeing many things. And we also are the recipients of many calls, people very, very concerned about having to surrender their animals because in the NYCHA system, they're allowed to have one dog or one cat, and the regulations say animals only 25 pounds. Most of the animals in the New York City shelter system are over 25 pounds. So we're precluding a lot of homes for those animals. We'd like to work with NYCHA to make their pet policy more broad and find some sort of reasonable balance that benefits both pet owners and the developments themselves. So I would like to make a couple of recommendations on that pet policy. We'd like to see some amnesty for residents that already have dogs. We would like to see zero tolerance for animal-related criminal activity and violations of NYCHA's existing pet policy. We hear that there are a lot of concerns about sanitation around pets, so we want to work to find creative solutions, whether it's putting disposal bags in common areas and creative alternatives to that. We also want to advocate for dog licensing to the residents, and then have NYCHA consider registering dogs that are over 25 pounds that were adopted from the brick and mortar shelters within the Mayor's Alliance. That assures that the animal is spay-neutered and has had behavior testing. We recommend creating a working group of community stakeholders, residents with pets, behaviorists, NYCHA representatives, and shelters, to work to recommend reasonable and enforceable policies that we can implement to create a more reasonable requirement on pet owners. So we ask you to revisit the pet policy and work with interested stakeholders to find a more equitable policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Villa Gomez. Carlos Padon, followed by Miguel Acevedo.
Good evening, everybody. My name is
evening.
Carlos Padro, and I grew up in the South Bronx. I haven't heard anybody talk about the South Bronx yet. I grew up in the Patterson houses, all right, from 144th to 138th Street. We have a serious problem up there. I live in Staten Island, okay? I'm here for my mother, speak on my mother's behalf. But I live in a nice house, but I grew up in the projects. So I've come back to the project. She has dementia, so I'm there to help her out for a while. And I've seen some big, big changes there. You have people bringing garbage out and putting in front of the building. You have people putting garbage by the incinerator when they could open up the incinerator and dump it. You got rats running around that look like cats. You got water bugs in the hallway. And you know what? I'm sure this is illegal, but the windows in the hallway are permanently locked. You cannot open up the windows. So if there was a fire, what kills people first? The smoke inhalation or the fire? The smoke inhalation. That's what knocks you out. That's what knocks you out. How do I know that? I've been in fires before. I'm retired from PD. I did 26 years. And somebody needs to go up and look at the South Bronx, the Patterson houses, all right? I got pictures on my iPhone. If anybody on the board wants to look at them before I leave, I'll be more than happy to come up there and show them to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Padon. Miguel Acevedo, followed by Vesta Pitt.
Good evening, Noah. My name is Miguel Acevedo. I am proud to say I was born and raised in Fulton Houses in Manhattan. I moved back about 9 years ago. I've been a resident association president since 2010. I think the next NYCHA plan, next generation neighborhood plan to build new housing at certain NYCHA developments makes good sense, with half the apartments affordable and half market rate. It's a win-win situation. It creates affordable housing. It also creates what NYCHA doesn't have: money to upgrade things like elevators, lights, plumbing, and all the other issues that residents are dealing with, as we heard today. Some people fear that new housing will displace them, but that's not true. In fact, it's the opposite. Where I live in Chelsea, people are moving back in with their relatives, even if they have decent jobs, because they can't afford skyrocketing rents. With more affordable housing, people can stay in the communities where they were born and raised. And in Chelsea, we see the benefits of bringing people together with different incomes. Across the city, NYCHA developments have $17 billion in major repair needs, and there's no money coming from Washington. So we have to pursue creative opportunities to improve the quality of life for NYCHA residents while creating more affordable housing for all New Yorkers. Residents and community members will be part of the process and every step of the way, driving the program with the ideas and expectations. As a resident leader, I know how important it is for residents to be engaged and to seize opportunities for better future for their families and communities. We want to move forward and continue this important conversation, securing the future of public housing. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to show you my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Acevedo. Vesta Pitt, followed by Lisa Kenner. Ms. Pitt?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I had to come to the conclusion that after you work 27 years in one place and retire, Your standard of living has changed, especially if you live in the central housing. I am from Boston Road Plaza. When I retired, everything finished. I lived there for 4 years without a working oven. I could not bake a cake or bake a chicken. 2 months ago, they gave me a new stove. Thank God. But I come to realize that after you work so hard and retire, especially if you live in NYCHA, the standard of living has dropped. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pitt. Can I please ask someone to take one of the microphones into the balcony? Thank you. Lisa Kenner, followed by Barbara Williams.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good
You hear
evening,
me?
Ms. Kenner.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Lisa Kenner, and I'm the president of Van Dyke Houses. I've been a resident there 57 years. And the reason why I'm standing here talking because a lot of buildings being built in Van Dyke. Now Canberra is being built. It was they should have made $8 million. They only charge them $1.8 million. So that money supposed to stay because it has to. They got to beautify the buildings that's coming up, that's there. Now, the developer that you sold it to Dumont Avenue, now we got another building coming on Dumont Avenue. They only leased it for $1. But the developer's fee is given back to y'all is $2 million. But I don't understand why the $2 million can't stay in Van Dyke. We haven't had refrigerators in 18 years. We haven't had stoves in 15 years. See, I keep up with numbers, okay? I'm standing here because this probably be my last time I'm standing here because I'm getting ready to retire as being president, but not being the resident of Van Dyke. Because I don't have to be a president, that's just a title. But a lot of y'all get a good paycheck, and some of y'all need to do your job. Because I'm gonna tell you something, if it was up to me, I'll fire a lot of y'all. You know, like I kept inventory when it came to the community center. Things got stolen, people got away with it, and they still working for housing. It's not who you know, it's who you blow, they say. You know, now my thing is, I came in with a bang, I'm going out with a bang. Not being disrespectful or anything like that, but I'm tired. I call. Van Dyke looked like I don't know what. It used to be the White House. It's the dirty house now. And if I feel like this, the White House, because I lived there. My mother taught us, this is your home. If you don't take care, who's going to take care of it? Now, when I come and try to take care, send emails, it's retaliation on Lisa. But I'm here to tell you, Lisa's standing strong and she's standing by herself. I know there's one man that looks down low, and I don't worry about anything. Because see, y'all I come to y'all saying everything, y'all say, oh, you must don't like her. They ain't got nothing to do with anybody that know me. They know me for 13 years as president, 2 years as vice president. No, I'm not a person like that. I'm not a bitter person. I'm a person to come and tell you straight. You know, not that I don't have to like somebody. I'm 57 years old. I don't like my sister sometimes, but I don't mean I don't love her. I don't mean that I bear false witness on her. And what y'all have to do is get yourselves together. Otherwise, if I could, I'd fire a lot of y'all up in here. Because y'all have not been kind. Y'all have not been kind to the people. And what I hear now, that somebody got to do something.
Thank you, Ms. Kenner.
I still got a minute. Like I said, what I'm saying to you is when I call or anything that money's supposed to go back to us. I've been to executive board meetings where a lot of these people haven't been there. I've seen money go all across the place, never came to Van Dyke.
Thank you,
we
Ms.
need
Kenner.
refrigerators and we need stoves. So
Thank you,
I don't
Ms.
want to
Kenner.
hear about 5 years later, because I'll be back.
Thank you, Ms. Kenner. I would like to ask everyone, we have a lot of speaker slips. A lot of people would like the opportunity to present before this board, so I must ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. Barbara Williams, followed by Darrell Burgess.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Barbara Williams, president of the Resident Association at Polo Ground Towers in Harlem. I'm here to thank NYCHA for giving the Polo Ground residents a great new outlook on where we live. NYCHA installed lights all throughout the outside of the development, the parking lot, the walkways, and the entrances. Having these new lights has increased our sense of safety and community. All of the dark corners are now gone, and we can see what's going on around us at all times of day. It's allowed our seniors to travel at night, whereas before the lights were installed, they didn't want to go out after dark. It's allowed our residents to feel comfortable walking through the parking lot. The Polo Grounds parking lot used to be a dark and dreary place that no one wanted to walk through at night. I live on the 19th floor, so I can see the parking lot from my window. There used to be a bad element hanging out among the parked cars. But now, thanks to the lights, that's not happening anymore. I'm proud to have new lighting because it's added to the efforts being put forth to make Polo Grounds a safer place. It's changing the way residents think about the development and about NYCHA. It makes us feel like something is actually being accomplished. And these accomplishments gives us hope. We've seen the changes, and we know that this wasn't a broken promise or meaningless words. These lights were a promise that came to fruition. We know NYCHA is taking action to improve the quality of life in our community. Now residents are asking me, what's next? What are we getting next? Thank you for helping us feel safer. There are a lot of things left to be done at Polo Grounds, but we believe NYCHA can and will do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. I'll also ask that we remain respectful. Darrell Burgess, followed by Jessica Thomas.
Good evening. My name is Darrell Burgess, and I'm the Vice President at Ingersoll Houses in Brooklyn. I've been a resident of Ingersoll for 50 years, and I've raised 3 daughters there. For the past 2 years as Vice President, I've heard about the proposal to build 100% affordable housing at Ingersoll. I attended the NYCHA Next Generation resident meetings where they answered our questions and heard our concerns. It was important to me because the majority of our residents are seniors. The affordable housing that's being built is being built for our seniors because we need that, and it's 100% affordable. When I learned that, I also understood that no one is being forced to move anywhere. I thought it was a great idea. We spoke to our seniors, and many of our seniors don't want to move. They're familiar with their apartments, they're familiar with the neighborhood. But I know some seniors whose families have moved away, and they're alone, and they feel isolated. Our development is majority teenagers, and we have a 1-mile radius with a large population of teenagers. We involve our youth with our mentor program called Kids in Crossfire, and we also have a basketball tournament for students and children who are not accepted in the summer youth program and who are not eligible to go to the neighborhood center. So the new housing being built at Ingersoll just gives seniors more options, and it's a good thing that 25% of the apartment is being saved for Ingersoll residents who want them, selected by the lottery. Living in senior housing, residents can support each other and have organized social programs and services. It was important to me that Ingersoll residents are not cut off from the new housing. There will be common grounds, and all the seniors in the community can benefit from the social services and other programs and activities in the senior center. This can help a lot of people, including me, So I'm looking forward to the new housing and new facilities and programs that I think may be helpful to me and to others in the community. And I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Jessica Thomas, followed by Inez Jackson.
Yes, I would like to first voice my respects to the chair, Mr. Michael Kelly, and the rest of the board. I'm the RA president in LaGuardia Housing. I live in LaGuardia, down by the Lower East Side, near South Street Seaport. And I just want to say this. I love where I live. Right now, we know most of the properties down there is prime real estate. I've lived all over Soho, Ho-Ho. I've lived all over. But I love where I live. And I try to take care of where I live. We have a great management team. I can go in and talk with them, and they are there to help. Our caretakers, our maintenance workers, they are the best. And why I tell you, we know there's some bad in everything, but why I say that is because I know how to talk to people. I know how to work with people. They like to eat, I feed them. You got to do what you got to do to take care of where you live. And some of these parents have these roughneck children. You got to step to the parents and tell them your child did thus and so. Don't be afraid. Just go and tell them. Because this is where we live. And we don't want you to bring your hoodlum children in here and tear it down. You got to speak up. You got to say what you have got to say. And if they be mad, so too bad. But I also would like to say we had a visit from Mr. Ponce. He's a director over in the painting department. They came to our development, to our RA meeting a week ago. And so we didn't have any money to buy refreshments. So I took money out of my pocket, which I don't mind. And I brought fresh fruit for the tenant association meeting. So in that meeting, Mr. Ponce and Janelle Hudson, they told us what was going to be in our painting job that's coming up. The room had standing room only. I've never had an RA meeting where it was standing room only. So he told us that this paint job would take 3 days. They put it in your closets. My closets haven't been painted since I lived there. So that's on my own. I didn't want to pull all that junk out. So I just would like to say they told us it's going to take 3 days, and it will be paint that will not smell. And this is a good thing. They will use Benjamin Moore, Bear, Mercury.
Okay.
And so this, all right, calm down.
Please wrap up your comments, Ms. Thomas.
Okay. And I just want to say to everybody, stay strong. Keep your development. Because where are you going to go and move and live? Everybody's trying to come to New York City. I'm not leaving New York City. So just take care of your development.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Inez Jackson, followed by Sherry Jones.
Good evening, everyone. My
Good
name
evening.
is Inez Jackson. I live in the Polo Grounds, and we have a disturbance of saying that they are fixing our pipes and going to make it better. For 2 years, we've been on a generator, and the generator have not been working sometimes. Sometimes the electrical wires is just distorted. I mean, in our apartments, everything goes off, and we have to, some of our food in our refrigerators are spoiled. People are on alert emergencies. They're being cut off. People have respirators, and they're being cut off. So we would like to know how long this is going to last. They never give us an answer when they're going to be finished. Also, people are throwing garbage out the window. This is a 34 building. We need somewhere where they can tell them, these tenants, to stop throwing garbage out the window. they need to be reported, and they need to have some kind of fine given to them or be dismissed out of the project. I lived there for 48 years, and I would like to live for longer than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Sherry Jones, followed by Marilyn Tucker.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry. I lived in Lewis Armstrong for 39 years, where I grew up at. Now I live there with my 2 children, who are 8 and 15. As a mother, I often worry about the safety of my children. I worry about all the things that could happen while they're playing outside. Over the past several months, I haven't had to worry too much. In March, Armstrong received temporary lighting towers so that the city can study how lighting can help make our neighborhoods safer. Having extra lighting has helped me and other parents feel safer. We can let our children enjoy the summertime and stay outside a little bit longer. You know, back in the day, we had to go in the house when the lighting come on. So it makes it, you know, they stay out a little longer now with the lighting. More lighting is good for everyone. It's good for helping to stop robberies and other crimes. When people are coming home from work or coming in late, you know, Armstrong housing is lit up. People feel safer, you know, to come home at night. I really hope there's a way that the lightings become permanent, because we need it in the neighborhood to feel safer for the children and the residents around. Thank you.
Thank you. Marilyn Tucker, followed by Rosemary Perkins.
All power, all glory, and all honor belongs to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I greet you from the Church of the Open Door, where the Reverend Dr. Mark V.C. Taylor is the pastor. Amen. We disagree with NYCHA wanting the annual income review done completely online. There are many people who don't want to do it or don't know how to do it. They are not comfortable sharing their sensitive information online or with someone who would have to help them. There should be more than one way to do this review. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosemary Perkins, followed by Dr. Lenora Jones Macbeth.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All glory, all honor, and all power belongs to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm here with my church, which is also concerned about the community itself. Not just Farragut, but Fort Greene. I'm a tenant from Fort Greene. I sit on the tenant patrol. I lived in New York City housing singly myself for 40 years. My complaint is that I now have a child of my own, a baby, which I can't send out to play in the playground, in the development. It's so filthy. Okay, the rubber mats that protects the parts for the kids to play on is filthy. Weeds taller than the kids is growing through the mats. That's part of rent that I pay, that I mean, I shouldn't have to be concerned about that. Not just the child of mine, but for all our kids in the development. You know, they don't have no place else barely to go. You know, but I give thanks to God for my church family that we have day camp for our kids. But once they come from day camp, sometimes we want to sit outside with them, and you know, but you can't even let them play in the playground. It's so filthy. Where the water sprinkler that they finally put on, because I watch out my window, which is right under my window, the playground. It's been so filthy since the spring. I mean, leaves, animal species, birds, squirrels, dogs, rats, and everything else. I don't think that it should be so hard that someone to take some attention to that matter, to clean up that. You know, it's part of the development that the people pay their rent for. I just want to say also that not just that the playground area, but the grounds period. You have to walk with your head down, which is not too good, because we're going to walk into something, you know. But it's just all over the place. You walk out your apartment, it look like worse than outside. And it's just, something needs to be done. And I'm just here to say that, and I hope something do be done. Okay, have a good day.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Dr. Lenora Jones-Macbeth, followed by Mary McGee.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All power, all glory, and all honor belong to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I greet you from the Church of the Open Door, clearly, where the Reverend Dr. Mark V.C. Taylor is pastor. One of our concerns, the statement that I'm going to address, is new revenues from the Next Generation Plan. We are concerned that these revenues should be immediately used for the repair and improvement of existing NYCHA facilities. Excess revenues that will be generated should be used for the current backlog of major needed improvements, since there's so much question about NYCHA's budget. NYCHA should also maintain an open accounting of the revenue generated within each development and its allocations over time to these needed improvements. Now, I have relatives in Van Dyke houses in Brownsville. I was born and raised in Gowanus Projects in Brooklyn. I have family in Farragut Projects. I also have family in George Washington housing in Manhattan. And I'm concerned with regard to the policies and procedures that have been in place, I'd say since Bloomberg's administration, that were supposed to make improvements in housing. And these policies and procedures have not been evaluated. Clearly, if we're asking the tenants to recycle, but bins are not available outside, or if we're telling them don't use the incinerators, but there's no bins outside, then you wonder why people throw their garbage out of the window when there's no place else to put it. Who is evaluating these policies and these procedures and their effectiveness? Then I think also of the maintenance tickets, which clearly so many concerns have been raised about. When I was growing up, every housing development had its own maintenance crew and department. I could look out my kitchen window and see the ramp where the cleaning personnel were taking their equipment. We knew the person in our building who cleaned up. His name was Henry. And why can't these old procedures that clearly worked be in place now when the newer ones clearly don't work? We were painted every 3 years. And as a matter of fact, my mother would say, no, we don't want to be painted because, like the closet, we really didn't want to go through all of those changes. But I am concerned about this evaluation and the supervising of these new programs and their implementation and their obvious needed restructuring. One question on my mind is this meeting being taped? We're saying so much. Who's really listening?
Thank you. Mary McGee, followed by Gail A. Brewer.
Good evening. My name is Mary McGee. I'm a resident of Fulton Houses. I've heard that you need to build into developments and using properties of NYCHA in order to improve NYCHA. But my fight with NYCHA is when you're going to develop in a development, that money, the majority of it, should be used to improve the development you're affecting and not taking the money elsewhere. So that's the point I was trying to make and always have made. NYCHA, you lease these properties, residents don't have any improvements, their quality of life issues, there's apartment issues. It's just something that needs to be communicated better with the residents. You can't just depend on a resident leader or a community board or elected official to relay NYCHA's message. NYCHA needs to open up and relay this message to the residents. The other thing is, NYCHA, within NYCHA, you have so many families that are living in overcrowded apartments. I see so many people moving out and new people moving in, but the people, your residents that have been paying rent, are still in the conditions they've been in for 3 or 4 years. So before you move people in from the outside, take care of your NYCHA family inside that is paying their rent. It's not right to have a family of 4 living in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's not right to have somebody who's willing to give up a 2-bedroom apartment because they're one and still have to wait 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to move, but yet you're crying you need bigger apartments to move families. But when you do get them, you're not giving them to NYCHA residents. You're giving them to residents outside of NYCHA. And that's where I have a problem. I feel NYCHA needs to hire more lower level employees instead of having so many executive positions open. Because when you look at the NYCHA website, what do you see? An executive position opening. But the problem is NYCHA's not hiring within NYCHA. They're not giving anybody promotions. You're hiring from outside who don't know us, who do not understand the needs of NYCHA and the residents. NYCHA's been my home for many years, maybe 24, 25 years. I appreciate what I have. I take care of my home. I hope that NYCHA feels the same way about us and does something about those residents who leave their garbage outside, like you're their chambermaids, and have to pick up after them. You have cameras. Please look at them, address the residents, and make them accountable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. McGee. Gail A. Brewer, followed by Matthew Wildman.
Thank you very much. I'm Gail Brewer, Manhattan Borough President. I represent the Borough of Manhattan and 98 NYCHA developments, totaling 53,105 units of public housing. And I want to thank you, Madam Chair, for attending Family Days. I attended, and it was great to see you. A year ago, I testified before the board on the then brand-new next-gen NYCHA plan, expressing concerns for some of the initiatives and some good. Like any comprehensive multi-year plan, the true success will lie in whether implementing the principal goals and strategies will result in something that's fiscally sound, but also, more importantly, improves the life of residents. And the jury is still out. So I commend, NYCHA for all of the accomplishments. Each accomplishment from rolling out the app so residents can use modern technology, although not everybody can do that, to manage their repair requests, was a result of many hours of work. I realize that. And I believe it's important to acknowledge the massive task that NYCHA is trying to accomplish. There's also lots of buts, of course, to all that. That said, I have signed on to the Alliance to Preserve Public Housing's comments to address major issues of the draft plan. And I hope that that suggestion by Victor Bach and company will be taken very seriously. I want to talk about Holmes Towers, which is in Manhattan. Last fall, NYCHA selected Holmes, as we know, and Wyckoff in Brooklyn as sites for the first phase of NextGen. New residential units constructed at both will be a 50-50 split, at least that's what's proposed, of market and affordable. I have repeatedly stated that I would prefer that homes be 100% affordable, and that it be as such, because I think that even though it wouldn't generate as much, that it would generate enough and it would make more sense. NYCHA has demonstrated its commitment to resident engagement by holding meetings with Holmes residents throughout the year. And we have a stakeholder discussion with many individuals. We don't have the ULURP that Wyckoff Gardens is entitled to, and that makes it more challenging. And I do want to say I am heartened by the efforts to engage residents. However, according to the residents at Holmes who attended the visioning meetings for 3 sites, A, B, and C, which are under consideration for the new building, no one voted for site B, yet it became the location identified for development in the RFP. How was this decision made, and why ask residents to vote when their preference did not seem to have an impact? If neighborhoods at Homes and NextGen in general, if it's to be a process that is truly led by stakeholder engagement, then NYCHA needs to solicit and consider community input. This is particularly important on the horizon, because obviously Homes has a $33 million capital need, and how will capital projects be prioritized as funds generated from Next Gen neighborhoods become available for making repairs in that development? Stakeholder engagement is important for all neighborhood planning, and the infill at Homes is expected to add approximately 300 new units to the site's existing 537 apartments, which is a 55% increase. What's the impact to the neighborhood, and what's the impact to the Homes residents specifically? So I hope that in the future there will be even more meaningful engagement, because if you say no to something, that means no. If you say yes, it means yes, and I'm not sure that's clear from this engagement.
Madam Borough President?
Yes.
Could you please wrap up your comment?
Sure, I'll be quick. All right, so there's all these issues that we mentioned about employment opportunities, and I think there are challenges there. I want to mention a little bit quickly about the issue of sustainability and the question of how do we get garbage collected. And then I also want to mention something about the issue of how do we work with, if we have RAD, which is one of the programs that's also supposed to support the financial issues, one of the questions we have is, what is the tenant engagement with those developments that go under the RAD program, because they cannot be the typical NYCHA tenant engagement? And second, what is the list that tenants will be selected from? If they're not selected from the NYCHA list, but from a separate list that comes under the nonprofit that will be taking over the RAD building, what kind of political efforts might go into that would not be appropriate to picking the tenants for that building? I've seen it happen. So there are many, many issues. We will submit this, but we have sustainable, next gen, RAD as some of the questions that we would like to have addressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Matthew Wildman, followed by Joyce Friedman.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Matt Wildman. I am the Pet Retention Programs Manager for the Humane Society of the United States, the largest animal protection organization in the country, as well as a tenant advocate with the Mayor's Alliance for New York City's Animals. Since 2010, I have served as a tenant advocate, assisting over 200 NYCHA residents whose tenancy has been put in jeopardy as a result of owning dogs classified as banned breeds and/or dogs who exceed the current 25-pound weight limit. In this capacity, I've gained a unique and valuable perspective on NYCHA's current pet policy. In its next generation plans, NYCHA is attempting to modernize how it operates, as well as enhance its residents' quality of life. As such, I would ask NYCHA's decision makers and stakeholders to strongly reconsider revising its troubled pet policy that features breed and weight restrictions, as well as limits the number of household pets to one. Not only does this pet policy cause significant and often grievous suffering to NYCHA's pet-owning residents, it has proved to be a huge and unnecessary administrative burden for NYCHA's staff, while doing nothing to make NYCHA's properties safer for residents or staff. The fact of the matter is that those policies are detrimental to thousands of NYCHA residents who must make the horrible decision of choosing between their affordable housing and their pet. For example, Jerome called me from the lobby of the New York City Animal Care Center. He was despondent. He had moved into NYCHA housing 6 weeks earlier with his family and his cane Corso. Upon signing his lease, the housing manager had not informed him of the pet policy, and Jerome saw many large breed dogs on the development. Therefore, he didn't realize that living with his dog was in violation of his lease until he received a letter a month and a half after moving in that his NYCHA tenancy would be terminated if he did not remove his dog. He couldn't financially afford to give up his public housing, so Jerome had to give up his dog, although he couldn't emotionally afford to do this either. This is the reality of NYCHA's current pet policy. The only unique thing about Jerome's case is how quickly NYCHA management alerted him to the pet policy. The vast majority of the NYCHA residents who contact me have lived with their dogs of restricted breeds or weights for years before being told to remove the dog. One of my current NYCHA clients, Janice, had her pit bull type dog in her NYCHA residence for 11 years. For 11 years, this dog named Prince had lived without incident. Then in May of this year, Janice received a notice that if she did not immediately remove Prince, she would face eviction proceedings. It's worth taking a moment to think about what this means, that hundreds, likely thousands of NYCHA tenants have had their dogs for years without cause for concern, and then are told that their dog must be removed. What does this tell us? For starters, it tells us that NYCHA has created a pet policy that it cannot enforce. With its limited staff and its thousands of pet-owning residents, NYCHA is unable to effectively monitor who has what kind of pet. And of equal significance, the stories of Janice, Jerome, and hundreds of others tell us that breed and size of a dog is not a cause of concern. These dogs are not aggressive. These dogs are treasured family members who pose no threat to anyone. So the Humane Society stands ready and willing to help to revise the pet policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wildman. Joyce Friedman, followed by Sharice Casanave.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Joyce Friedman, and I'm the New York City coordinator for the Humane Society of the United States and a licensed clinical social worker. I was also program manager for our former pet retention program since 2009. In my surrender prevention work, I assisted hundreds of NYCHA residents who called us for help to keep their pets. I also worked closely with the staff of New York City Animal Care and Control, the ASPCA, and dozens of privately funded shelters and rescue groups, and I appreciate this opportunity to share my perspective briefly. I found in my years of direct work with many NYCHA residents and with the hardworking and overburdened shelters that the pet policy's weight and breed restrictions are not based on science, and unfortunately they have caused extreme hardship, grief, and suffering to hundreds of NYCHA tenants who have called our program directly for help in keeping their beloved pets. By limiting dogs to a certain arbitrary weight of 25 pounds and choosing 3 breeds, implying that the members of these breeds are all globally assumed to be dangerous, when absolutely no scientific study exists that states this to be, is unfair, harmful, and unethical. This is a myth, and we strongly encourage NYCHA to not maintain policies based on myths, but rather on fact, and with fairness and equity towards their tenants. I recall the case of Joanna and her lovable 5-year-old white and brown pit bull dog named Princess. Princess cuddles with Joanne's 2 children, sits, rolls over, and gives her paw, tricks that Joanne's children proudly taught her, and is beloved by all their neighbors. Joanne told us that she got a notice that she must, quote, get rid of Princess or lose her apartment, and her children and she were devastated. They asked me why. Princess has not done anything wrong. She has no record. It was very sad for me to hear them talking about their sweet, friendly family member who happens to have 4 legs in terms of being a criminal with a record. Princess had nowhere to go but the overcrowded city shelter. The shelter system tries their best to find homes for all their charges, but it's simply not possible since they must take in all animals who come through the door. I have worked with so many tenants who are simply put in an impossible situation like Joanne and her children to have to choose between their pet and their affordable housing. As a clinical social worker, I find this to be a very unfair stressor to put on a huge number of individuals and families, especially those who might be struggling with other life stressors, financial or otherwise. Furthermore, it's the utter burden that this policy puts on underfunded city and private animal shelters who work hard every day to care for and find homes for homeless dogs and cats. In actuality, NYCHA's policy is pouring thousands of dogs who are well cared for and already have excellent homes into the homeless animal pool, taking up space and funds for animals who truly need homes. So at the Humane Society, we support the weight and breed restrictions being lifted, but working on every individual case that may come up.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
And we're willing to work with you on a new policy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sharice Casanave, followed by Jenna Malore.
All power, all glory, and all honor belongs to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. It's in him that I greet you. I'm from the Church of the Open Door, where the Reverend Dr. Mark V.C. Taylor is pastor. And I want to start out by saying we agree with New York City Alliance to Preserve Public Housing with their position paper. One of the parts, specifically, the tenants who will be relocated from the scattered site developments relocated to from the scattered site developments and distressed obsolete housing should be told that they are opting out of the protection of public housing and going into the more financially difficult area of the private market when their new lease arrangements dictate. NYCHA should not remove itself from long-term involvement in such new developments. Also, we have some members that have been on the waiting list for years. And we are wondering what's going on with the waiting list. So I know, and just a question personally, even though you can't answer it with this hearing, we should be able to hear something from you, what you can do for us, what you're going to do for us, not just next generation NYCHA, but the concerns that everybody that's talking, that they have. We need to hear from you after this hearing is over. And my problem is that we don't. So what is this really for? Thank you.
Thank you. Jenna Mellor, followed by Ziana Richardson.
Hi, I'm Jenna Marie Sacamano Malor. I'm here representing Congressman Nadler, and I'll be reading his comments, or as many as I can, in 3 minutes. Okay. I am pleased to have the opportunity to offer my comments on the New York City Housing Authority's 2017 draft annual plan. I represent the 10th Congressional District, which includes NYCHA tenants residing in Fulton houses, Chelsea Elliott houses, Amsterdam houses, Harborview Terrace, Wise Towers, DeHostos Apartments, Thomas Apartments, Wooster Brownstones and Sites, as well as thousands of residents in NYCHA Section 8 leased housing. NYCHA continues to face ongoing financial pressures that impact its ability to provide low-income New Yorkers with safe, quality, and stable, affordable housing. With an estimated 22 million operating, we already talked about this, so you know this, but to put these numbers in human terms, this means 500,000 New Yorkers in 178,000 apartments live in substandard conditions. I would like to congratulate Chair Olatoye for completing year 1 of the 10-year Next Generation NYCHA plan. I'm pleased that this plan is explicit about the crisis NYCHA faces and the need for financial solvency. I'm going to skip over also some of the things that the plan includes. The plan outlines the authority's strategy to make use of available land within NYCHA developments by developing both 100% affordable apartments and mixed income developments made up of 50% affordable apartments and 50% market rate apartments. Over the past year, NYCHA selected developers for the first 3 100% affordable sites. In June 2016, NYCHA issued a request for proposals for the first 2 mixed income sites. It is critical that NYCHA make it a priority to work closely with residents and community stakeholders in an effective engagement process. While I am very pleased with the resident engagement that I've seen over the past year, I still have several areas of concern, many of which center around the necessity for robust and meaningful resident inclusion in all current and future development processes. Many advocates have called upon NYCHA to use the model that evolved in the first 2 mixed-income development sites in all NYCHA communities undergoing development. This model includes a number of collaborative steps and input from residents at the outset, which helps ensure an inclusive process during which the consequences of NYCHA's plans for residents, communities, and the environments are transparently shared and addressed. I urge NYCHA to make certain that engagement in any development includes all of these crucial elements. I urge that meaningful resident engagement in the Permanent Affordability Commitment Together PACT initiative be continued, codified, and consistently evaluated. I applaud the agency for identifying this path to solvency for some of its units, and I thank everyone who sat at the stakeholder roundtable. Conversion could raise the specter of privatization for residents and will impact resident lives through repairs, renovations. Okay, I'm so almost done. I'm sorry.
Ms. Mellor, please wrap up your comments.
I'm just going to say one more thing, which is that I call on the agency to make use of the HUD Tenant Participation Activity Fund, which currently has 10 to 13 million in unused funds and could be used by community leaders.
Thank you. Ms. Ziana Richardson, followed by Susan Boyce.
All power, all honor, and all glory belongs to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm 18 years old. I live in Farragut Housing, and I came with the Church of the Open Door, where our pastor is Reverend Dr. Mark V.C. Taylor. I came to speak about an experience I had with going into my building one day from church, and there was a bunch of rats in the garbage outside of the building. And it's not just outside of my building, but it's outside of a lot of the other buildings inside the neighborhood where there's rats that's like as long as my arm, and they run just in the daytime and nighttime just freely. And it was one time I was walking home from church, and I was so scared to go inside the building because I saw 2 rats run across in front of me that I had to have somebody walk me inside of my building because I just couldn't move. Like, it was someone else with me, and they had to walk in the street. And even in the street, there was another rat that was just as big running across. And I have a problem with that because I have younger brothers, I have younger cousins, and a lot of them want to go outside and play, but I can't trust that if I take them outside, it's not going to be a rat running across their foot, or it's not going to be something that jumps out and bites them. And that's a problem with me because I would like to go outside. I live in the neighborhood. I don't want to walk home 24/7, and every time I go, I have to make sure I don't step over something, or I have to make sure I have to watch out for the rats that's running across my feet. And I also would like to say, in closing, that I haven't seen anything be done about the rats. I just see more rats. I see more garbage outside, which is also attracting the rats, and nothing is being done about it. There's people that say that there's garbage getting picked up, but there's really no garbage getting picked up because every morning I come outside and there's more garbage, the garbage that's been there for the past 2 weeks. So I would like to see something get done about that, at least before I go to college. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Susan Boyce, followed by Dan Wiley.
Yes, hello. My name is Susan Boyce, and I have been a resident of Queensbridge Houses since 1969. I moved with my parents, and then I raised my family there. I'm proud to call Queensbridge my home. Hope it continues to be my home. I'm also proud to be involved in the community. I serve as president of the Senior Advisory Board at Jacob Reese Settlement, and I have just been voted into Jacob Reese Settlement Executive Board. I would just like to say that the residents are very pleased about the roof repairs completed at Queensbridge Houses, which is a part of the mayor's $300 million investment to replace NYCHA's roofs across the city. This work has been long overdue. The roofs have not been repaired, not even since I moved there in 1969. So that tells you how greatly that job needed to be done. Because of the conditions of the roof, we are getting leaks which causes damages into people's apartments. The workers have been very efficient, and I believe they are scheduled to be done before their deadline. And I understand that some of the young residents in our community took OSHA training and got jobs as a part of the roof work, and that has been very beneficial to them and to the community. I have a couple of questions which I do not know, I know you cannot answer, but maybe you can point me in the right direction. Someone here can answer them for me. I have a question regarding Section 8 and in regards to families who have children that now want to move into NYCHA residence. Okay, because we are a village, we are a community. We raise our families there. Everybody knows each other. Everybody looks out for each other. And I know my daughter has tried to move in, and she is still currently on the waiting list. One question is definitely bugging me, all right, which is a rumor that has gone around in Queensbridge Houses, and I hope someone can answer it for me today. Is Queensbridge Houses North and South, has it been sold?
No.
Thank you.
You're
okay?
welcome.
Because I go to the senior center, and the seniors are very upset about this. They're very concerned. This is where they've raised their children, their grandchildren, their great-grandchildren. Like I said, everybody knows each other. Everybody looks out for each other, and we want to take care of our homes. We have no other place to go. So I'm so glad you answered that question for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Boyce. And someone else will see you to answer your other questions. Dan Wiley, followed by Victor Pichardo.
Thank you, Chairwoman Olatoye, General Manager Kelly, B. Bird, and board members. I'm here on behalf of Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez. This is the short version. I'll give you the written version. Thank you for the opportunity to share my comments on NYCHA's draft annual plan. As a senior member of the House Financial Services Committee and the only member in New York City on the Housing Subcommittee, working to expand safe, affordable housing options for New Yorkers is and will continue to be one of my top priorities. While ongoing divestment from the federal government has contributed to NYCHA's serious capital needs, in March I wrote my colleagues in the House Appropriations Committee requesting that they provide NYCHA and all public housing authorities with additional resources they need to reverse the chronic underfunding of our nation's public housing stock. I'm concerned that the draft plan under review today more accurately reflects NYCHA's fiscal challenges than the needs of NYCHA's tenants, and question whether the policies proposed in the draft plan will adequately serve the tenants. My remaining comments will focus on three areas. One, housing development in the NYCHA sites. As we've heard, we have the 50-50 proposal that includes Wyckoff Gardens. NYCHA must make every effort to engage residents and ensure that their views and desires are incorporated into any development plan. This means that the recently formed stakeholder committee at Wyckoff Gardens, which is here tonight, should be more than just an advisory group. Resident leaders should have a real role in developer selection and their views incorporated into the overall development process. 2, RAD, or PACT. NYCHA has called for the expanded use of HUD's Rental Assistance Demonstration, or RAD program, and is currently targeting 6,400 units around the city. It may be the case that RAD will be a useful tool to address some of NYCHA's outstanding capital needs. However, the authority has yet to provide sufficient information to make that determination. I was pleased, however, to see the formation of the RAD Roundtable and Resident Rights and Protections and the development of a set of, quote, guideline principles. This roundtable must be preserved if NYCHA is to move forward with the conversion process. Tenants at NYCHA locations located for RAD conversions in Williamsburg and Bushwick in my congressional district are skeptical of the RAD conversion process. It is critical that NYCHA engage residents before any RAD deal is formally pursued. The resident engagement sessions must take place at each NYCHA development targeted for RAD conversion. And residents should have the choice to decide whether the conversion of their property is in their long-term interest, and hearings should be open to all NYCHA residents, not just those who are living in a targeted development.
Mr. Wiley, please wrap up your comments.
Okay, lastly, small area fair market rent. I won't get bogged down into it. It's not part of this particular plan, but HUD is proposing changes for voucher tenants that could impact adversely 58,000 voucher tenants, forcing them to move to higher income areas, negotiate paying more for their rent, or having to move. And the Congresswoman is working on a letter on this issue to be sent to Secretary Castro, supporting many of the city's points and looking for a solution to this, and invites members of her colleagues to join in. I'll submit the rest of my written testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Victor Pichardo, followed by Reverend Bernadette Logan.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. First and foremost, for those who don't know me, I'm State Assembly Member Victor Pichardo. I have the honor of representing my neighbors from the West Bronx, specifically Monterey, Bailey, and Twin Parks developments in the West Bronx. Simply, I just wanted to come by and support our neighbors and the tenants who live in NYCHA and make sure that their voices are heard and that my neighbors have a voice and a say in this. Very quickly, because time is limited, I want to thank, first of all, before I get into my official comments, I want to say publicly that the state has failed its obligation to make sure that NYCHA is fully funded, and I'll be the first one to admit that. Under the leadership of Speaker Hasty, as well as Chairman Keith Wright of the Housing Committee, we make sure to right that ship, and we'll continue to push forward to make sure that NYCHA actually gets the development and the funding from the state that it deserves, and we'll make sure to fight that. Also, on my official comments, I just want to simply say I support stronger residents' involvement in government decisions with NYCHA communities, as well as aiming for improved transparency, responsiveness from NYCHA. Again, I also want to recognize the mayor, specifically NYCHA's initiatives to implement it last year to take action in Next Gen NYCHA. That includes the reduction of the annual operating deficit from $77 million to $22 million. Selection of the developers, the first 3 developers that creates completely 100% affordable housing in the projects with Next Gen NYCHA. Excuse me, it's been a long day. Committing to $300 million of the city capital budget over the next 3 years to make sure that MCIs, according to NYCHA's development process, are actually implemented. My simple recommendations is to make sure that we continue to engage our constituencies, our neighbors, in whatever developments and whatever the decisions are created by NYCHA, and make sure that there is a transparent and very overt effort to engage community residents, stakeholders, elected officials in this process, because ultimately whatever decisions that we make in government affect the residents of NYCHA. And it is not fair that we make decisions in a vacuum, and that we got to make sure that we continue to engage community residents. And again, I just simply want to reiterate the fact that as a member of the state legislature and the Democratic Assembly majority, we will continue to push that not only that we have the affordable housing that the city and the state deserves and needs, but also that NYCHA has the adequate funding to make sure that it carries out its plan to make sure that the residents of NYCHA, if it's Monterey Houses, Bailey Houses, Twin Parks, Ingersoll, Wyckoff, wherever in the city of New York, actually get the resources that not only do they need, but also deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Assembly Member. Reverend Bernadette Logan, followed by Sky Jones.
Good evening, Madam Chair, chair members, our guest speaker, residents of the FHA, and those of the NYCHA complex. I'm addressing the draft of the PHA agency plan 2016, and according to the Public Housing Home Ownership Activity, it states that the number of units affected was 51. I've been receiving calls that approximately 10 to 15 residents have still not received their homes. So I'm just bringing that to your attention. Some of them are here tonight. I'm now also addressing the fact I represent the faith-based community of Queens, and we're very concerned about the NYCHAs selling these houses to for-profit, private developers, and other entities that are moving in our communities. We have fought very hard for the last 5 to 6 years to upgrade our homes and our community in the Queens and Brooklyn area. We are also concerned that NYCHA is stating that there are only 16 houses available for purchase, but I went across the plan and found out that there were more. I would like to have a personal meeting with Ms. Nicola Ferrara. She sent me a letter last week, I don't want to read it, but stating that there are no more houses available. I would like to have an appointment with her, with a few of my board members to discuss that. I'm also asking to make available to nonprofits in the Queens area where we live, and I'm giving God all the praise and all the honor for my home and the homes that were already purchased. Our community looks beautiful. Our community has been upgraded, and I'm thanking God for all of that, but there are other entities in our community that can purchase these homes besides Habitat for Humanity and Restore. So I'm asking that you take it, look in advantage, that those listings of the houses and make them available. And also, I visited 20 of these homes in our area, and they are still vacant, and they still look dilapidated, and they still have garbage and trees and everything around them. So I'm just asking that you make that appointment for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sky Jones, followed by Nita Medley.
All honor, all power, and all glory belongs to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. My name is Sky Jones. I am 19 years old. I live in Fort Greene in the Walt Whitman section. And I would like to address the issue on the lighting in Walt Whitman. Right now we have these really big generators all throughout Walt Whitman. And although they are there for protection right now because due to certain events and to make the community safer, they are extremely loud and extremely bright. And although you want to make the community safe, how come we don't have regular lighting like any other community? Because all I see is these drastic big lights come on, they come on at around 6 or 7 o'clock, and it feels so uncomfortable. Like why do I feel like I'm being like patrolled in my community? Like I don't feel comfortable with those lights. And I believe Walt Whitman and also Farragut is actually due for better lighting. How come we don't have better street lamps within our communities? We were way overdue for that. That's how I feel. And two other issues that I want to go over real quick is in my building in 106, we have a really bad problem with our elevator. And
the housing workers know this because they do take the elevator too. It takes our elevator a good 2 to 3 minutes to actually close the door. That's dangerous because if I'm being chased or something happens to me, I don't have time to close my elevator door. And another problem is with the scaffoldings. These scaffoldings have been sitting here for months. You put them up, there's like limited work, they stay up, take them down, it's like a whole cycle. And honestly, right now, they're just being used for garbage because when I look out my window, I see a bunch of garbage on top of the scaffolding, leaks and everything coming out the scaffolding. One tree is actually dying in front of the building across from me, 104, because of the scaffolding. It's not getting any light. It's just, deteriorating, and it looks bad on our community, and I just want to know, I want to actually see these changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Nita Medley, followed by Jeffrey Flowers.
All power, all glory, and all honor belongs to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. I greet you from the Church of the Open Door, where the Reverend Dr. Mark V.C. Taylor is pastor. We agree with the NYCHA Alliance to preserve public housing, that all NYCHA land should be prioritized for low-income New Yorkers. Mixed income models should only be used when tenants and NYCHA have agreed on what affordability means. We agree with the demand that all housing built on NYCHA land have Section 8 vouchers committed to it, and that such housing be 25% current NYCHA residents. And just to reiterate some of the things the young sister just said, residents have a safety issue with the scaffolding. At NYCHA developments all around New York City, the scaffolds are blocking the cameras and lighting of the buildings. You know, the old ones that only go one way? At Farragut houses and other NYCHA developments, they are not cost effective because they've been up so long, and the money that you spend can be used for more important issues. We thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey Flowers, followed by Michelle Copeland.
All honor, all power, and all glory belongs to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you, NYCHA Board Chair, for seeing me today, and the Church of the Open Door. I'm going to give you this statement. In recent years, both the governor and the mayor have made major multi-dollar long-term commitments to affordable housing initiatives focused on private sector construction and preservation while excluding public housing. We need state and city leaders to break through the firewall that now separates NYCHA from major affordable housing initiatives by making proportionate, parallel commitments to restoring NYCHA infrastructure and decent living conditions for residents. I have 3 points. We need a formation of stakeholder committee that includes resident leaders, concerned elected officials, and other community stakeholders. Point B, resident leaders should have an opportunity to review submitted proposals and register their preferences before NYCHA selects a developer for the affordable houses. And this is also important to us. Revenues generated by development should be prioritized to address the on-site backlog of needed major improvements. These are items that we would really like to see addressed, and that we also will keep you in our prayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers. Michelle Copeland, followed by Edward Tyree.
Here I am. Here I go.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Copeland. I've been a resident of Queensbridge Houses originally since 1961 at the age of 3 when my mother moved out there. I've had my own apartment since 1981 with the birth of my son. I'm calling because I haven't had a paint job in numerous years. I requested it and I was told that they are just completing the 2014 work order tickets. I'm also trying to downsize from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom, preferably something without any stairs to lead up to the apartment door entrance. I have a son who was on my lease. My son is a 2-time veteran. He did the war in Afghanistan and Operation Enduring Freedom, Iraq. When my son went to Afghanistan, whatever they gave him to counteract the chemicals in the air gave my son advanced progressive multiple sclerosis. He was living down south at the time. I had removed him from the lease because they were going to judge my rent according to both of our incomes, of which I had taken him off in about 2005. My son is in the VA nursing home in St. Albans, to which I've been trying to get application status, at least for my 1-bedroom, to make it convenient for a visit when my son comes to visit me when I bring him home, instead of paying somebody to carry him, help me carry him up the stairs and the 7 stairs to get to the elevator. My son cannot walk, he cannot talk now. He's legally blind, and he was my only child, and he did this for our country. But I was told that I have to first submit his income, which then they want to go up on the rent, and I don't have the amenities that I need right yet. But I'm just satisfying, and I'm ready to satisfy and to take and accept a 1-bedroom apartment where the building entrance does not have any stairs to go to the elevator. I've made a couple of inquiries already. I tried emailing the mayor. I tried emailing Ms. Scholler. I don't know if it got through, and if I'm going to stay there where I'm at now, if they could do something with the bed bug situation. You have tenants now that's coming in, not well. I'm fighting this every day with my hot shot from Home Depot. I've been doing this since last year, February. Housing needs to come on and patch up some of the holes in the wall, because that's an attribution for the bed bugs to get through from one apartment to the other, also through outlets. I've tried what I can do myself, but with their help, I would greatly appreciate it. Please contact me. I'm mycopeland02@gmail.com, and thank you very much for listening to my story, okay?
Thank you, Ms. Copeland. Edward Tyree, followed by Audrey Hilliard.
All right, good evening. My name is Edward Tyree. I'm the Resident Association President from Gowanus. First of all, I want to piggyback on what the lady was talking about earlier when she was from LaGuardia. And also, I want, as a former caretaker and shop steward, this is to the lady from Albany Development, I don't condone caretakers sitting around not doing their job either, okay? So it's not that, as one, I understand them, at the same time, I don't condone that. And the other part of it is that I want people to understand that the workers that work for a housing authority, the mindset of the workers is important. And we can't just look at them as just uniforms. We got to look at them as people and treat them as people. And if we do that, we get the most out of them when we do things like that. We have situations like people forget that in the wintertime, when y'all come to some of the people, the managers and some of the other people that are in the work in the office come to work, a lot of times the workers have to be on the job at 6 o'clock in the morning. So that means they have to leave neighborhoods where the police don't come out until daylight to get to a neighborhood that's just as bad as the neighborhood they left. So you have to be more appreciative of the workers that do the job, because they're entitled to that there. And the other part of it is that I think they need to bring back, I've been out for a little while, so I don't know if it's not in the contract or how it is though, but they need to bring seniority back as well too, because it's not fair to those workers who work hard in buildings that's tough, that not to get a better building when a building opens up when somebody else gets it, and you come to find out later on that that individual is known to the supervisor that gave him to that particular building. So if you get rid of that there, cronyism dies right there, okay? Another part of it is when the caretakers come to management with a complaint, I feel that look at the complaint for what it is, not for who it's coming from. Because if the complaint is genuine, deal with it as it is. And that cuts down a lot of things as well, too. Another thing that I'm talking about, a lot of people brought it up as well, too. Let's start holding some of these bad residents responsible. Okay? Let's hold them responsible. As a former caretaker, what I used to do, I'm going to say this real quick and I don't have a lot of time. What I used to do, I did it on my own. I sent letters to those kids, those residents in those lines that we had the problem with. And the letter basically stated, it's been brought to the management's attention that someone in the blank line has been throwing stuff out the window. And if it continues, action will be taken. Then I followed up 2 weeks later with final notice. So that lets them see that somebody is concerned, is watching. And when you do that there, 99% of the stuff that got thrown out the window stopped. And that's, I'm telling you from experience, not something I heard or read in the book, this experience. So all I'm basically saying is once we get a relationship with NYCHA, the residents and the workers, and we be on even ground with them, all this other stuff will stop. And thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tyree. Audrey Hilliard, followed by Brittany Graham.
Good evening. My name is Audrey Hilliard. I'm a resident of Queensbridge North Houses for 27 years. I raised my daughter there, and I am an active member of the Resident Association. I also actively participate in programming for seniors at the Jacob Reese Neighborhood Settlement. I'm here to make a few comments about the roof repair work and safety improvement at my development. First of all, the roof repair has made the development look much more complete and nicer. In addition to looking nice, the protective fences that installed on the roof promote safety, keeping people from doing things they shouldn't. Now there's less leaking, less repairs that need to be done in tenants' apartments, and less mold also. Before I had a leak in my bedroom, and now it's so much better. People feel more proud about their homes and their building. Staff is freed up to do more repairs, and they're completing them faster, better, with more personal service. Staff is on top of things. I see plasterers going in and out of apartments, doing important work that improves our quality of life. And what I call the night lights that have been made much more safer. When the lights are on, it feels more serene. Police are patrolling the area more now. It's been quiet. My neighbors and I feel safer. And they brought down the side sheds on my side, which also makes things nicer and quieter. This is our community, not just the projects. This is home for a lot of people. So I just want to say thank you for the improvements.
Thank you, Ms. Hilliard. Brittany Graham, followed by Carol Johnson.
Good evening. My name is Brittany Graham, and I'm a resident of Tompkins Houses in Brooklyn. Tompkins has been my home for 28 years, all my life. I would like to just say a few words about community safety and the role it plays in our quality of life. Unfortunately, crime is an issue at some NYCHA developments. Fortunately, the Mayor's Action Plan for Neighborhood Safety, known as MAP, is bringing really important improvements to 15 NYCHA developments, including mine. $140 million of security lighting, CCTV cameras, and high-tech lobby doors. These are things that we truly need. MAP is also bringing later hours and more programs and services for youth at our community center, something we also need. This is a great idea because we're giving kids something educational to do, especially during the summertime. By expanding the youth employment program at MAP developments, we're giving young people a positive path to follow. MAP is about fostering a better relationship between the community and the police. Also, members of our resident watch are going to get special training from the New York City Office of Emergency Management so that they can help our neighbors in case of natural disasters like hurricanes and major snowstorms. I don't have kids of my own, but I work with children. And I want to make sure they can play outside, free from harm, and that our seniors feel comfortable about going about their day. Nothing is more important than safety. I would like to thank the mayor and the NYCHA chair for hearing our concerns about community safety and doing something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Graham. Carol Johnson, followed by Niana Taylor.
Yes, good evening, Chairman. My name is Carol Johnson, and I'm representing the DeWitt Clinton Houses in Manhattan. I have lived there for over 25 years, and within the 25 years that I have been there, we have never had an upgrade of our kitchen and our bathroom. I have watched other projects be re-renovated and redone. My building has not been re-renovated. I also have the whole DeWitt Clinton Project community has have a bad case of roaches. I don't care how much roach spray, how much tempo, whatever it is that I put down. If I'm doing it and the rest of the tenants are not doing it, it's to void. Okay, they need to bring back how housing used to have the exterminators come out and do floor by floor by floor of exterminating each and everybody's apartment at one specific time so that we can fight this issue. Also, there's an issue with the building not being properly cleaned. The floors have not been stripped, mopped, or anything, or waxed. I have to mop in front of my own door, and I live near the incinerator. And if I'm not getting paid to do this job, then they should come out and do the work that's supposed to be done. Also, I have a problem with putting in claims with housing from the vendors that they have coming in doing work. They destroyed my personal property, and I've been fighting since 2014 to get the damages for my property, and housing has not done anything about it. And I have sent letters, telephone calls, and personal appearances to the borough of Manhattan concerning my issue. Right now, I'm in litigation right now. We're supposed to be the insurance company for this Mount Olympus Paint Restoration Incorporated. They are not legitimate painters. They can't be, because they have destroyed my whole apartment, which I live in, and I take very good care of my things. Now, and also there's a problem with the entry door leading from the street coming into our building. You may lock the door, but there is no intercoms that's working. It's a waste of time to lock the doors if they're going to not fix the intercom for people to get access into the building. So they breaks our locks on the door constantly. And we have to be in fear of somebody coming up behind us because our doors is locked. Also, I want to represent the Polo Ground Towers, where I was living since 16 when my mother's dead now, my dad is there. The elevators don't work. He lives in building 2. The garbage is outside in front of the building. They don't have a proper location where they dump their trash. It just turned into a hellhole. Okay, it used to be a very clean building. The whole place, you could leave your door open and everybody knew everyone. It was a safe place. Now it's just a dump. They need to come out and fix the problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Niana Taylor, followed by Dana Monsky.
Good evening, Chairwoman and chair members and residents. My name is Niani Taylor. I'm a resident of Van Dyke Housing since 1998. I've also been a part of NYCHA Housing all my life. I could speak about the conditions which aren't the best, but I want to instead speak about the hope and the progress I've seen in NYCHA. I'm a graduate of NYCHA's Food Pathways program in 2015. I'm the second cohort of entrepreneurs, thank you, that we dub NYCHApreneurs. I am the second class after Chef Lance, who has his own restaurant. I see a better future for myself because I went through this program. My company has been growing, and also my skills as a business owner has been growing. I want to give praise to the board for implementing and executing such an extensive program in partnership with Start Small, Think Big, New York Small Business Center, New York City's Economic Development Center, and Reese. I work full-time, but I continue to work on building my business with such wonderful support from the life coaching services provided by NYCHA's Food Pathways program. Every participant in the Food Pathways program have raised our standards. We've raised our standards of living. We've raised our standards as far as thinking of ourselves. We've raised our standards in our community. We are in our community at events, and we're employers now. So we're very grateful for that program. So I thank you for helping hardworking residents develop skills that can help them last a lifetime, that can help them generate income. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Dana Monsky, followed by State Senator Brad Hoylman.
Good evening. My name is Dana Monsky, and I'm here to speak on behalf of some concerned citizens and the animals of New York City. I know, a lot of people aren't big fans, but a lot of people do think it's important, so please bear with me. In 2009, the New York City Housing Authority implemented a ban on certain dog breeds and dogs over 25 pounds.
Well, we're being chased by pit bulls.
which is terrible. But a lot of people's dogs are being forced out of their homes that aren't attacking people, and that's not right either.
Please be respectful.
In 2009, the New York City Housing Authority implemented a ban on certain dog breeds and dogs over 25 pounds. This policy change was devastating for dogs and their guardians, as many were forced to give up their beloved companions while shelters and rescues took on a flood of homeless dogs. Mayor de Blasio is considering changing this policy. I'm here to let you know my belief that changing breed and weight restrictions on dogs, allowing 2 cats instead of just 1, and waiving the pet fee for any resident who adopts a pet from animal care centers of New York will benefit both residents and New York City animals. Breed and weight restrictions like those currently in place are shown to be ineffective and lead to abandonment of dogs, which contributes to the already overburdened shelters and a major hygiene problem for the city of New York. Lifting the weight restrictions or increasing it from 25 pounds to 45 pounds would allow for a greater number of homeless animals to be adopted from animal care centers and not-for-profit shelters and rescue groups in New York City that are working hard to find homes for cats and dogs. Additionally, cats are social animals and most do well with a companion. They are quiet, non-disruptive, and provide companionship to their guardians. Allowing tenants to have 2 cats will benefit tenants, cats, and New York City animal care centers. We also suggest that if any pet is adopted from New York ACC, that the $25 fee be waived to promote the adoption of these countless pets, homeless pets, in our city shelters and support the requirements in place requiring all pets to be spayed, neutered, and licensed. 30 to 40 dogs and cats, so a total of 70 to 80 animals, sometimes daily, are euthanized in city shelters, and you can help make a big difference in letting people in NYCHA keep their pets, have their companions, and decrease euthanization in the city shelters. It seems like a win-win to everyone. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. State Senator Brad Hoylman, followed by Lancelot Brown.
Hi there. Hi there. My name is Sejal Singh. I'm an aide at State Senator Brad Hoylman's office. He's very sorry he wasn't able to make it here tonight, but I will be reading his testimony on his behalf. First, I want to thank you for this opportunity to submit testimony on the New York City Housing Authority's draft annual plan for fiscal year 2017. Brad Hoylman is the state senator for New York State's 27th district, which includes Campos Plaza, Jacob Riis Houses, 344 East 28th Street, Fulton Houses, Lower East Side, 3, 4, and 5, and parts of Harborview Terrace and Chelsea Elliott, which in total account for nearly 5,000 units of NYCHA housing. As a result, we know all too well the challenges that NYCHA residents are facing. We want to acknowledge, first and foremost, the state and the city need to do more, and I pledge to work with you to fight in Albany to get NYCHA the funding it needs and that it deserves. This is especially true in a period of budget surpluses. At the state, we have a $1.6 billion budget surplus, and at the city, we have a $3.4 billion budget surplus. As John F. Kennedy said, the time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. And so I'm pleased to say that when we have these state and city budget surpluses, we should be using them for NYCHA residents. After all, if we can't address these numerous issues when we have surpluses and when the sun is shining, when are we going to do them? So we're pledging to you and to residents that we are going to work hard to make sure NYCHA gets the funding it needs from the state. We also have a few comments on the Next Generation NYCHA plan. First of all, we appreciate the comprehensive suggestions put forward by the New York City Alliance to Preserve Public Housing, to which we are signatories. In particular, we remain concerned about proposals to lease off public land to build any market rate housing at all, and believe questions remain unanswered to make sure they benefit NYCHA residents and the New Yorkers who bear that burden most. We believe it is important to establish, first of all, the principle that any proceeds generated go first to the NYCHA developments accommodating next-gen buildings. Second of all, NYCHA must give preference for next-gen units to existing residents, especially those in overcrowded or underoccupied units, and to the extent possible, prioritize those residents in the developments where those buildings are being built. third, as new affordable units are built, we also must be sure that that many of them are prioritized for homeless New Yorkers. Right now, homelessness is at a 30-year high in New York City, and we believe it is deeply important that the affordable public units go to people who are extremely vulnerable. So we strongly support allocating 25% of those units to homeless families.
Thank you. I really will need you to wrap
much.
up your comments. I have more speaker slips than time.
Of course.
So
Thank
we'll
you
do a
so
time
much. We
check.
really- yes,
I'm
of
sorry.
course. We appreciate the opportunity to submit testimony, and again, we look forward to working with you to make sure NYCHA's future is sustainable and strong.
Thank you so much. It is now 7:52. This hearing is scheduled to end at 8 p.m. We do have more speaker slips than time will allow. However, so I will ask those speakers who will be presenting to please keep your comments brief. Again, Lancelot Brown, followed by Loretta Humphrey.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Chair and board members, I'm Lancelot Brown from the Brook Island Projects in Canarsie, Brooklyn. I am here this evening. I noticed that everyone is talking. It's good to talk about the problems, but it's not all bad because I support the Next Gen plan for NYCHA, and I am one of the recipients and graduate of the program from the Reese Department called the Food Business Pathway Program. And I'm a proud graduate of Cohort 1. My Nyani, who spoke earlier, she's from Cohort 2. And I'm here to say this evening that I am happy that I was a part of the program. I am happy that the program was implemented because as a result of that, I got further training and assistance in opening my own restaurant in Brooklyn. So I say thank you for that and continue to do the good work. And for those residents who are here and who would like to go in, I would encourage you to do so because it's a great program. The other things that I'd like to mention is I would encourage the board of NYCHA to hold people accountable. A lot of things and problems have come up this evening, and I'm looking at it from the perspective of management and employee. In my development, I see people sitting down when they should be working. Who's monitoring them? You know, it's just ridiculous. So I'm asking the chair to probably appoint an inspector general, whatever title you want to call it. You know, I'll do it because trust me, I'm good at following up on people because then somebody needs to be there to make sure that things are done. It's not all management fault. And I'd like for some of my fellow residents to realize that we also have to take responsibility. A resident spoke earlier about the children who are hoodlums. Yes, take your children on the wraps. People have been talking about pets. Okay, fine, I can understand about the pets. I understand that the service animals are necessary, but I am a single father with 2 children living there. I don't want to be walking out my apartment, which has happened already, and walk into a 100-pound pit bull. I don't want that at all. So for all the people who are advocating for the animals' weight to be lifted, if you are living in one of these developments, let me know and how you would feel. I'm on the first floor of my development, and I have view of the parking lot and the playground in the back. And I shouldn't have to escort my daughter out for her to go play with her friends. She should walk out freely without being scared of dogs. We all know the reputation of pit bulls. Let us just take care of that. No pets, period. And the parking lots, please let us repair the parking lots so that the ditch doesn't turn a festering for the mosquitoes. Zika is going around, West Nile, all of that. So let's get the parking lots fixed, please.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Thank you. Loretta Humphrey, followed by Panette Smith.
Yes, good evening. My name is Loretta Humphrey. I am an FHA resident. Good evening, Chairperson Sholair, to the board. I am here on behalf of the FHA residents, single and multi-family dwelling. I am asking that the elected officials, NYCHA, HUD, HPD, have a better transparency in making decisions on the FHA homes. We are stakeholders, and we would like to be a part of the declaration of trust that are put forth for the FHA homes. We would like the repairs to be done because, of course, the repairs are diminishing. In regards to the displacement, a lot of the FHA residents feel that the homes are not being repaired because they want them to diminish so that they will be displaced and moved out, and the homes would be given to restored homes or Habitat for Humanity. So I am asking on behalf of these residents that the multifamily dwellings participate in that 1968 Declaration of Trust that we were locked out. We are asking for that to be on the table again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Humphrey. Panette Smith, followed by Derek Williams.
Well, good evening to everyone. My name is Panette Smith, and I live in Taft Housing. My major complaint there is in your 5-year plan, I see where they have taken away a lot of the basketball courts where the children play. And if you're taking away things, then this is how children have idle time to get into trouble, especially our young youth. So they need those basketball courts put back in order to preoccupy some of that time. Also, I had a problem with the leak. They came in, they fixed the leak. They've been coming back to paint since 2012. I have taken off 15 days from my job as nobody still has came in to paint. Our intercom system, we pay for it. It should work. Our door should be locked. We too are infested with roaches. Something needs to be done, and with the rats running around in front of the building. We pay our rent, and still when you talk to somebody in housing, people are very nasty. And then they're quick to send you a letter about terminating your lease for any and everything. Don't terminate my lease, come out and see what my problem is, and then we can work together. Also, when I had the scaffolding in front of my building, when they was working on the building, something happened with my AC. I went to housing. Housing sent me to them. I went back to housing. Still, nothing was resolved. Had the AC taken out, and I'm still paying for AC to be in my window. Please. Somebody get to the offices, talk to the people who's in there, and come out and really talk to your tenants. You talk to your tenants, things will turn around. Y'all have a blessed night.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Derek Williams, followed by Tracy Wilkins Dickerson.
Good evening. My name is Derek Williams, and I'm a lifelong resident of Tompkins Houses in Brooklyn. And I'm here tonight to give some quick thoughts on the Mayor's action plan for neighborhood safety. And the reality is there are bad apples in every community, but because of the MAP initiative, crime at Tompkins has decreased significantly thanks to the temporary lights and the extra police presence. It's a good idea and a sensible strategy for our community. The crimes usually occurred at night, and the temporary lights have helped a lot in that regard. People see vividly that we're serious about combating crime. Another crucial element of the initiative is the effort to improve the relationship between police and the community by reintroducing the neighborhood community officers to MAP developments. MAP has also brought more vital youth programs to the Tompkins Community Center. I worked there for 8 years, and I still volunteer there regularly. My particular focus, though, has always been on the teen population, because when teenagers get bored, that's when issues can come into play. MAP recognizes the importance of keeping youth off the street, giving them some place to go and something constructive to do so they don't get into trouble. I appreciate how MAP has provided a positive outlet for our youth. The more activities for them, the better. I look forward to a continued collaboration with the city on ways we can progress the peace in our community. That includes more community building activities like building murals, neighborhood gardens, and things of that nature. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Tracy Wilkins Dickerson, who will be followed by our final speaker, Elizabeth Diaz.
Okay. All power, all honor, and all glory belong to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. I greet you from the Church of the Open Door, where the Reverend Dr. Mark V.C. Taylor is pastor. HUD, Tenant Participation Activity, TPA, money amounts to an unused pool of $10 to $13 million, which occurs over $3 million in addition each year. That money should not be allowed to sit unused. NYCHA should make sure some of that money is given out every year. It should be used in the following ways. 1, leadership training should be given to NYCHA resident leaders by outside groups, not by NYCHA itself. NYCHA residents should help pick those groups. Younger residents should be targeted for recruitment. An independent external audit of the use of TPA funds to date should be conducted in order to assess and correct for past underutilization and any misallocations. Lastly, I'm concerned by the lack of preventive measures put in place in Farragut houses to deal with the infestation of rodents. That's it.
Thank you. Elizabeth Diaz, final speaker. Ms. Diaz? If Ms. Diaz is not available, we will go to the next speaker, Myrna Martinez, who will be the final speaker from Stapleton Houses. No Myrna? Okay, so final speaker, Robert Dovelis from Church of the Open Door. Myrna's here? Hi. Okay. So, Ms. Martinez will be our final speaker. Be careful.
Hi, my name is Myrna Martinez. I'm living in the Stapleton housing in Staten Island. This October will make me 2 years. It was, I have a problem. They came and they did some mold repairs. I think it was December or January of this year. The mold is returned, and I think I put in a ticket. It could have been, I don't know if it was like, maybe like two months ago or something like that, but then I retracted the ticket because I told the person that's in charge of the repairs that something needs to be done from maybe the apartment upstairs, because I think that's where the mold is coming from, or the water leakage or whatever is in the bathroom. So today, the person that's in charge of management from that housing complex, Stapleton, he called me and he threatened me, and he said if I don't let him in the apartment, that he's gonna come with a police officer. I have a son that lives with me, and he suffered from mental illness, and many times I tell my son when I'm not there, do not let anybody in. So I started freaking out, thinking about Eleanor bumpers now. I understand if it's an emergency, if it's a leakage, or maybe a stove is on or something like that. I understand you will have to break in or get into somebody's apartment without their permission. I'm willing to work with them, but I don't like to be threatened in this matter, telling me if I don't let you in, if I don't let them in, that they're gonna come in with cops and whatnot. I have greatly things to say about Stapleton. Anytime you need repairs, they're right on time with the repairs. I have no problem with that. But today, the management, Mr. John or whatever, calling me and threatening me like that, I didn't like it at all. I felt very, very violated. So I just need to know what could be done about that. Like I said, the repairs has to be done. When mold is there, you got to dig into the wall or find where the mold is coming from. You can't just put a Band-Aid on it, because they did repair it again. They did repair it for the first time in January, but it returned. So apparently, it's a big job that needs to be done, not just painting over it, you know, but the threat that was made with me today, I didn't like it at all. So I need somebody to address that or help me with that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. So this concludes the New York City Housing Authority's fiscal year 2017 annual plan public hearing. Thank you for your participation.